Okay, good afternoon. Where are the others? I'll just I'll just share my screen. And, okay, so can you guys hear me and see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you for confirming. Okay, so today we will be discussing the conditional execution and iteration. So here we will tackle the uh, logic sequence of program. Okay. Ayan. So first we will discuss what is the Boolean type, comparisons and Boolean expressions. Okay, so before you can test conditions, so these are the if else na uh, na logic So you need to understand the Boolean data type. Okay, so what are these data types? So which is named for the 19th century British mathematician. So si George Boole, we encountered this already sa mga histories ng computers, no? So the Boolean data type consists of only two data values. So that is true or false. Okay, true or false lang siya. So mo na siya ang Boolean type naton. So in Python, Boolean literals can be written in several ways, but most programmers prefer to use the standard values true and false. So paano ba lang natin siya ma-identify? So simple Boolean expressions consist of the Boolean values true or false, variables bound to those values, function calls that return Boolean values or comparisons. The condition in a selection statement often takes the form of a comparison. For example, we have here, we might compare the value of A to the value of B. So first, we have these two statements na naka-variable. So we assigned a certain value, an integer value for the variable A that is equal to 8, and a variable B which is equal to 2. Then we compare. Okay, so we have some operators here or comparison operators that is equal, less than, or greater than, or equal. And then once nga i-compare mo na siya ang duha ka statement mo, that is A less than or greater than B. So the output would be your Boolean data type. So that is either true or false, depende sa imong statement. So for this case, for our example, the output is true, which is 8 is greater than 2. And so we have here the Boolean comparisons. Okay, so please familiarize. So the double equal sign would mean equals. Okay, while the exclamation followed by the equal sign means not equal. Then you have the less than, the greater than, the less than or equal, and the greater than or equal. Yan. So the following session shows some example comparisons and their values. So we have here, so for example, we have here, so 4 equal to 4. So that is true. Output niya is true. Okay, so if we check it dito, so if you want, let's say 5 equal to 5. So the response is true. Okay. How about this one? 4 is not equal to 4. that is false. Okay, pero pag 5 not equal to 4, response niya is true. Because hindi naman sila talaga equal. So meaning the statement here is true. Yan. And so on. Yan, yung mga examples natin. So here we have 4 greater than or equal to 3. So of course that is true. And we have here a variable a less than the b. And that is true also. Yung dito is nag-ano tayo, gamit ng variable dito is a and b. Or this is in equivalent value of the character A and character B. So meaning the character A is less than the character B. May specific value ang aton nga character depende sa aton nga ASCII or ASCII na table. So may specific value na sila. So although these operations are probably familiar to you, the Python symbols are different from the mathematical symbols for the same operations. So a common error is to use a single equal sign. Okay, so this is the common error. Pag nag-equal ka lang, dapat double equal sign gamitin mo. Okay, so remember that equal, single equal, is an assignment operator. So meaning, dra ka ma-assign sa imo nga values ng mga variable. So it is an assignment operator and not an equal operator. So yung single equal sign, hindi siya ginagamit for comparison operator. And also there is no such thing as equal or less than. So meaning hindi na una yung equal pag inag mo siya sa greater than and less than. So mauna yung less than or greater than, then followed by equal. Yan. So take note na lang of our comparison operator here. Yan. So nauuna palagi yung less than tsaka yung greater than. Then followed by equal or equal. Yan. Okay, so for the logical operators, so there are 3 logical operators that we have, that is and, or, and not. Okay. So the semantics or the meaning of these operators is similar to their meaning in English. So for example, for this case, we have here a sample code. So this is true only if x is greater than 0 and less than 10. Okay, so we have here a logical operator and. So meaning he will evaluate, or the program will evaluate, if the variable x, which is equal to 1, is less than or is greater than 0 and less than 10. So the output here is true. Okay, so the statement here is true because 1 is greater than 0 and 1 is less than 10. Okay, so the same as in 11. So 11 is greater than 0 and x or 11 is less than 10. So yung value natin dito output is false because x is not, okay, or 11 is not less than 10, greater than 10 siya. So yung value natin dito is false. Okay, so how about this one? We have here n is equals to 4, or that is n raised to 2 equals to 0, or 4 raised to 2 is equals to 0, or n raised to 3. Ano nga yung percent na Percent is, tama ba? Wait, we will review. I will pause share muna. We will review our operators. Tingnan natin. Kalimutan ko rin. Ano nga yung percent? You can remember. Ayan, remainder pala or modulus. Ayan, remainder or modulus. So, take note. Ito yung operators natin. So, remainder or modulus. For this case, that is true if it is divisible by 2 or 3. So tama to, di ba? So 4 is divisible by 2. And then dito naman, dito hindi, di ba? So this is only true if either of the conditions. So meaning, if the two conditions here, meaning you have your first condition, and then ito yung second condition mo. So if either of the condition is true, then the output is true. Pero pag hindi sila, yung dalawang condition or tatlong condition is not true, then automatically it will output false. Pero kung yung isa sa kanila is true, then the output is true. Okay, yan. And finally, the not operator, so negates a Boolean expression. So not x greater than y is true if x is greater than y is false. So meaning ito yung parang kabaliktaran. Okay, so ito yung kabaliktaran niya. So strictly speaking, the operands of the logical operators should be Boolean expression. But Python is not very strict. So any non-zero number is interpreted as true. So we have here no example for the not operators, that is x is equals to 5 and y is equals to 2. So we use the not operator, that is x is greater than y. So meaning dapat true siya, pero since naka-not operator tayo, so babalik ta rin niya yan. So false siya. Di ba? Kung walang not na operator, the statement here is true because 5 is greater than 2. But because of the not operator, so maninegate niya, so meaning kabaliktaran, so it will output false. Yan. Yung or, any of the either of the condition or statement is true, output niya is automatically true. Okay, yan. Okay, so we have here conditional execution. So in order to make useful programs, we almost always need the ability to check conditions and change the behavior of the program accordingly. So conditional statements give us this ability, and the simplest form of is the if statement. So itong if statement. Okay, so for example, we have here if x is greater than 0. Ito yung ito yung tawag dito. Kukunin mo, or ito yung gusto mong kunin kay Python. So that is print x is positive. So this will be your result if the statement is true. So that's why we have the if conditional statement. If x is greater than 0, print x is positive. Okay? So the Boolean expression after the if statement is what we call the condition. Ito yung condition natin. So we end the if statement with a colon character. So take note that after the statement, we have the colon here. So if, then your statement, then the colon character. And the lines after the if statement are indented for spaces. But sa atin na case, since we use the idle, so automatically it will indent. Okay, so notice if you type the if statement, that is first we assign a value of variable x. X is equals to 4. And then we use the conditional execution. So we have the if statement. So if, then you followed by statement natin, x is greater than 0. So this is our statement, followed by the colon. So you may take a space, then a colon. Then when you press enter, so automatically, na statement. Oh. Then followed by your output result, that is x is positive. Yan. And then, enter tayo. Ayan. Okay. So, output niya is X is positive. Ayan. So, naka-indent tayo 4 spaces. Okay. So, if the logical condition is true, then the indented statement gets executed. Okay. So, if the logical condition is false, the indented statement is skipped. So, meaning, it will just skip. Hindi siya mag-print ng, sana yung ano natin. So, hindi siya mag-print ng itong statement na to. Okay. Hindi siya mag-print ng ganyan statement. Let's say we have x is equals to 3. Or x is equals to 0. Then, try natin dapat wala siyang output. Print natin. This is positive. Ayan. So, walang output. Diba? Hindi siya nag-output ng x is positive. Kasi hindi siya nagtugma sa statement natin. So, if the logical condition is false, just like what we did, so the indented statement is skipped. So, if statements have the same structure as function definitions or for loops, so the statement consists of a header line that ends with the colon character followed by an indented block. So, for spaces or kung nag-aubra ka sa code sa notepad, so you need to indent 4 spaces. Pero kung sa Python ka, let's say dito, let's say file new file. So kung dito ka nag-i-edit ng program mo, so it will automatically indent. Okay, so let's say if x is greater than 0, then ayan, automatically mag-i-indent siya. Kan backspace naman. Ayan. If you have some, let's say, mayroon ka na code. So not the tab 1 or pwede man tab, but sometimes nag-ano siya. So you need to have 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ayan. Or the tab. Ayan. Pwede man na siya. Okay. So statements like these are called compound statements because they stretch across more than one line. So meaning more than one, isa lang siya ka-line pero kung imo lang tawag, more than one line siya. Okay. So there is no limit on the number of statements that can appear in the body, but there must be at least one. So pag gumamit ka ng conditional statements natin, dapat meron isang magre-result dyan. Or, if wala kang statement, then you can have the pass statement. Meaning, it will skip. Okay, so ginatawag natin siyang placeholder sa ating na code if wala ka pa sang conditions or wala ka pa sang ipiprint out for the result for this conditional statement. Okay, so you can use the pass statement which does nothing. So, ipapass niya lang yan. Okay. So, if you enter an if statement in the Python interpreter, so the prompt will change from 3 chevrons to 3 dots. Okay, notice nyo, dito we have 3 instead of ito yung mga chevrons na yan, yung arrow. So, i-replace nyo yan ng 3 dots. Yan. So this indicates that you are in the middle of a block of statements as shown here. Yan. So yung first part dito, may error to. So bakit nagka-error? Kasi hindi tayo nag-indent, no? Hindi tayo nag-indent dito. So meaning, ito, indentation error. So expected unindented block. So may bug. Yung first na output natin dito is may bug. Ayan. Then dito, ito na yung kinorek natin. So nag 4 spaces tayo. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then print small. So automatically, inaccept niya. Wala ng error. Kasi dito, after ng if statement, then nag 3 dots tayo. So dapat i-indent ka. Okay. So dito nagkamali na. No? So kinorek natin siya. So ito na siya, wala na siyang error. So when using the Python interpreter, you must leave a blank line at the end of the block. So otherwise, Python will return an error. So that's why pag in-enter natin yun, yung kanina, mamaya pa to. Pag in-enter natin siya, ito may space tayo. Notice may space tayo. Pag in-enter natin, may space dyan. Yan. So a blank line at the end of the block of statement is not necessary when writing and executing a script. Okay, so not necessary pag nagra-write ka ng script. Pero pag nasa interactive ka, then you need it. Okay, para hindi ka magka-error. This one is interactive mode. Okay, interactive mode to. So hindi tayo naka-script. Okay, so we have here alternative executions. Okay, so here we have the else function. Ito yung kasama ni if, no? So a second form of the if statement is alternative execution, in which 3 are 2 possibilities and the condition determines which one gets executed. So it depends on the if statement. So for example, we have here syntax that is if x, the remainder niya is 2 is equal to 0, then we need to print that is even. And if not, okay, so dito na papasok si else. So pag hindi, piprint niya x is add. Okay, so if the remainder when x is divided by 2 is 0, then we know that x is even, and the program will display a message to the effect. Then if the condition is false naman, then the second set of statement is executed. So meaning dito yung true if. Pag hindi siya, dito siya sa else. So this is our flow chart for this program. So we have here the start part. So we have the conditional statement here. If yes, dito siya papasok. If no, dito siya papasok. Then end of the program. Yan. So tingnan natin dito. I already have this. So I just copy. Tapos nilagyan ko lang ng variable, wherein yung variable ko na number came from the input. Okay, so meaning I will enter a number here, but the number that I will enter here will be converted into float. Okay, so it will be converted to float, so I can use the float function or the int function because this is an integer or a number. Okay, but since this is in a quotient or remainder yung kinukuha natin, so probably meron tayong decimal point here. So that's why I use the float function. Okay, so if you run this one, ayan. So nagpa-prompt si Python na mag-enter ako ng number. Dito siya. So meaning, let's say, so even. Sa inyo ba? Other even. So you need to divide it by 2. Diba? Para mabalaan mo kung other even siya. But kung may program ka that can determine, then like this one, then pag enter mo, it will automatically display the answer. Meaning this number is odd. Yan. Okay? So, ito siya yung condition natin. If number is divisible by 2, remainder niya is 0, walang remainder. So even siya. So since this has may remainder to, 7654321 has a remainder. So the number is odd. So hindi siya divisible by 2. Yan. Okay? Can you follow, guys? Yeah. So later on you can use this code. You can copy this one. Pwede nyo i-screenshot or type nyo for your activity, no? Okay. So since the condition must be either true or false, exactly one of the alternatives will be executed. So hindi yung dalawang statement na to yung i-execute niya. Kung saan lang yung true. Okay? Yun lang yung i-execute niya. So the alternatives is what we call the branches. So itong print x is equals to add, print x is add, ito yung branches natin, tsaka yung print x is even. Yan yung branches natin. So because they are branches in the flow of execution. Yan. Okay, so we have here also the chain conditionals. Ito yung maraming condition. Okay? So sometimes there are more than 2 possibilities and we need more than 2 branches. So one way to express a computation like that is what we call a chain conditional. So let's say if x is less than y, print x is less than y. L if, ayan, so abbreviated of else if, again, exactly one branch will be executed. X is greater than y, print x is greater than y. Else, kung wala dito sa dalawang tong statement, x and y are equal. Okay? So first part niya, ang gagawin niya dito. So ito munang condition na to. Kasi per line tayo eh. Per line tayo. So first condition, x bala is less than y. If yes, print natin yung less, end of the program. If no, then as again, x bala greater than y. So if hindi pa gid siya greater than, then equal siya. Ito yung ipiprint natin. Ito yung ano niya. Ito yung end na ng program. Pero pag greater siya than y, then it will print greater than end of a program. If not, then print equal. Yun yun. Kasi hindi siya less than, hindi siya greater than, kundi equal siya. Okay? So ito yung program natin. Okay? In determining if the value of two variables x and y is greater than or less than or equal. So there is no limit on the number of L if. So wala tayong limit dito. So if there is an else clause, okay, so it has to be at the end. Okay? So pwede ka magdagdag ng else if, pero dapat before siya ng else kasi ito yung last option mo or ito yung pinakahuling result mo or pinakahuling statement mo, yung else dito. Meaning ito yung last option. Okay, last option pag wala doon sa mga L if tsaka yung sa if. Yan. So each condition is checked in order. If the first is false, then the next is checked dito. And so on until one of them is true. Okay? Yung i-output niya lang dito is true. Yan. Next, we have the nested conditionals. So meaning, ito yung nasa loob. Okay? So let's say you have a condition here. Ano yung example natin? Yan. So for example, we have here. So meaning, meron pang isa. Meron pang isang else if dito sa loob. Diba? Ito na lang. Ito na lang example. So for here, we have the x and y variable again. So if x and y are equal, then ipiprint niya to. Hindi na siya pupunta dito. Okay, hindi na siya pupunta dyan. But if they are not equal, then pupunta siya dito sa else. Tapos magtatanong ulit siya. Yung x bala less than y. Pag less than y siya, piprint niya to. Pero pag hindi, greater siya. Ito na yung last na option niya. So this is what we call the nested conditional. So a statement or a conditional statement under a conditional statement. Yan. So that's why tinatawag natin siyang nested conditional. Then the outer conditional contains two branches. So the first branch contains a simple statement. Ito yun. And the second branch contains if statement which has two. That is, ito tsaka ito. Okay, so those two branches are both simple statements, although they could have been conditional statements as well. And although the indentation of the statements makes the structure apparent, so note, no, pag nag-if ka na statement, automatically mag-indent ka dapat again. So this is double tab na in case of the nested conditional. Yan. So logical operators often provides a way to simplify nested conditional statements. For example, we can rewrite the following code using a single conditional. So if 0 is less than x, if x is less than 10, then print x is a single positive single digit number. And so mga example nito. Ayan, ito siya. So this is the flow chart of our nested conditional. So meaning you have here a condition, then under this condition you have another conditional statement. And so for the first conditional statement, you have only one branch. Ito lang. Then for the second statement, conditional statement, you have two branches. Yan, yung less tsaka yung greater. Yan. So and so we have also what we call the short circuit evaluation of logical expressions. So when Python is processing a logical operations or expressions such as x is less than or equal to 2 and x divided by y is greater than 2, it evaluates the expression from left to right. Okay, so for example, we have here two expressions. No? I-compare natin using the and. Diba? We have and, not, and or. So, compare natin to using the and statement. So, because of the definition and, so if x is less than 2, the expression of x less than greater or equal to 2 is false. So, the whole expression is false. So, whether the second statement or the second expression is true, pero ang nauna niya is false. So, regardless of the second expression. So logical expressions because useless. Diba? When the evaluation of a logical expression stops because the overall value is already known, yan yung tinatawag nating short circuit or short circuiting. Yan. So meaning wala. Game over or kumbaga tawag natin checkmate. Okay, so for example, we have here, no? So while this may seem like a fine point, check natin. So saan ba yung ano dito? Ito, x is greater than or equal to 2. So this is true. First statement natin true. And then y, that is 6 divided by 2 is greater than 2. So that is 3 greater than 2. So true man. So no problem with the first conditional statement. How about this? How about dito? X is equals to 1, y is equals to 0. So x is greater than or equal to 2. So this is false. So automatically, it will output false. Hindi niya na to i-evaluate. Okay? So although this is an error, di ba? That is 1 divided by 0. This would be an error. Pero hindi niya to pinansin yung error na to. Kasi nakuha niya na yung value dito. Yung sa first statement natin, that is false. Okay, so 1 is not, or 1 greater or equal to 2, so that is false. And how about the third? So the third here, that is x equals to 6, y is equals to 0. So x is greater than or equal to 2. So this is, ano to? This is true, di ba? Tama? And x divided by y is greater or equal to 2. So ano yung error dito? Bakit nag-error siya dito? Dito hindi. Kasi dito, true siya. So, true yung first statement niya, true yung second statement niya, error. So, therefore, magkaka-error siya. Eh dito, unang statement pa lang, false na eh. So, automatically, it will false na lahat. Hindi niya na to i-consider. Okay, so dapat true lahat using the end statement. Okay, pag hindi true yung isang first statement, then mag-output siya ng false. Pero pag true to, then it will evaluate the second statement na dapat magiging true din. Same as example number 1 here. Pero pag nag-error to or nag-false to, then you will have a problem. That is, eto na. So it should not be divided by 0. Yan. So hindi tayo nag-short circuit dito. Ayan. So ito yung explanation. Ano pa? Okay, so for your seat work. So I think this is already posted. This was already posted sa sa Neo LMS. But sige, I will help you on how to code this one. So first you need to determine. Okay, you need to determine the given problem. So meaning rewrite your pay computation to give the employee 1.5 times the hourly rate for hours work above 40 hours. Okay, so ano yung first first assignment? Ito ba yun yung first work niyo? Ito yung first sheet work, no? Okay, so rewrite your pay computation. Ay, hindi. This is the second one. Wait, let me check your ito. Tama ba? Ito. Assignment 1 ito ata. Ay, hindi rin. Okay, so ito yung first mo. First yun na laboratory. Tingnan natin. Second ata ito eh. Ito yung first nyo. Okay, so for your seat work, I think you have until 3 p.m. Okay, so you need to have a program that need mag-require that requires an input. Okay, so ano yung dito tayo sa notepad. Yan. So meaning gagamit tayo ng input na command. Ano muna yung gagamitin natin? Gagamit tayo ng input command wherein magi-enter si user ng hours. Okay? So let's say gagawa tayo ng variable, no? So we have a variable. So let's say ito yung hours. And so small letter lang. Hours. So anong value ng hours? Ito yung i-input natin. Okay. So that is input. So sasabihan natin si user, enter hours. enter hours. Follow this space. Oops, single quotation tayo. Yan. So, ito yung pag-input ng hours. Then, input ng rate. Ano yung rate mo? So, input naman tayo. Enter rate. Space, then, and. Okay. So, meron na tayong dalawang inputs. Dalawang value na tayo. May dalawang variable na rin tayo. So, ang sabi dito sa problem nyo, computation to give the employee 1.5 times the hourly rate for work above 4 hours. Okay, so i-compare natin. So we have here a condition statement na. So meaning if, so mag-if tayo, di ba? Yun yun. If hours, di ba? So if hours is less than or equal to, ano nga? Yung limit natin? 40. So if less than or equal to 40, in-input natin. So we have here colon. Ano yung ano natin? Ano yung condition natin dito? So magta-tab tayo or 4 spaces. 4 spaces. So anong gagawin natin? Mo-multiply lang natin siya, di ba? So that is pay. So wala tayong pay, di ba? So mag-a-assign tayo ng value na pay. Let's say pay is equals to 0. And pay is equals to 0. So initial value to initial value. Para meron tayong variable dito ang gagamitin. So we have here pay is equals to yan. So anong gagawin natin? So multiply natin, that is hours times 3. Yan. Okay. Yan. Tapos print natin. So mag print. So ano lang to kuwari hindi mo alam kung paano ka mag-program. Okay, so we have here print. So ano ipi-print natin? Obviously yung pay. Diba? Ito yung pag less than or equal to 40 siya. Yan yung first statement natin. So anong second? Hindi mag-else tayo, di ba? Else, anong gagawin natin? Pag hindi siya less than or equal to 40, then yung pay natin would be equal to, ano sabi? Give the employee 1.5 times the hourly rate for work above 40 hours. So meaning, ima-minus natin, magma-minus tayo ng 40 sa hours niya. Okay, so that is 40. Yung hours namin, hours minus 40. Kasi ito yung above. No? Ito yung above niya. Ito yung multiply natin. Yan. Hindi, ano pa to eh. Parang ano to eh, adjustment eh. So we can say variable here is adjustment. Yan. Adjustment that is equal to 0. Initial value niya. So this will be your adjustment na. So adjustment. That is hours minus 40. And then ito yung i-multiply natin by, sabi, give the employee 1.5 times the hourly rate. Okay, so hourly rate times 1.5. Hindi siya times 1 or times the hourly rate. So meaning that is 1.5 times rate. Ayan. Tama? Check natin to pag may error tayo. Then you can start troubleshooting or debugging your code. Ayan. So I will just give you a hint, no? So hint lang to kung paano simulan. Okay. And then, so this is the adjustment rate. But how much is the total rate or the total P? Okay. So that is okay, so this is the adjustment. So you have four spaces. For the pay, we still use the same formula, that is hours. So wait, no? So ito lang yung adjustment, that is 40 minus hours minus 40. So meaning, you still have the 40 here. Okay. So mag-add lang tayo, no? 40 times the rate. Yan. Kasi yung 40, ito yung base natin. Ito naman is ito yung excess of 40, yun lang yung 1.5 natin. Okay? Tapos yung remaining na 40 mismo, ito yung times sa rate na regular rate. Okay? Yan. Tingnan natin. Then, piprint natin yung pay or adjustment plus yung pay. Ayan. Ito na yung code mo. So, tingnan natin kay Python. So, kakopy lang natin. Then, exit ko na to. Exit. Ayan. So, file new ako. New file. Then, kakopy ko dito. Tapos, irarun ko siya. Tingnan na natin kung may error. Tapos, kayo na kayo na mag-debug. Ito na yung clue nyo. So, must be saved. So, save muna natin kasi kinapipaste na natin to. Let's say try or sit work 1. Okay, sit work na lang. Ayan, grant siya. So, enter hours. Tingnan natin. Ano yung example yun? Let's say 40. So, meaning equal siya, no? So, dito siya na belong. Dapat ito yung piprint niya. Tapos, mag-enter tayo ng rate. Rate natin is 10. So, dapat yung output niya is 40. Tingnan natin. Oh, may error. Yan, may error tayo. So, anong error yan? So, greater than or less than is not supported between the instances of string and integer. String and integer. So, meaning, we need to convert our input into integer. Or, let's say, float. Okay, so, we will go back to our code. So, i-enclose natin siya sa float. Nabutan nyo, guys.
Nadula
Wait,
ka, sir.
share ko lang yung screen ulit.
Nadula.
Na-disconnect ako. Wait. Ayan, can you guys see again? Just minimize this one. So, nakuha natin yung first part Hindi to. But paano pag greater than 40 siya? Tingnan natin pag may error pa to o wala. Okay, so rerun lang natin ulit. Let's say 41. So ano dapat yung ano dito pag 41? Meaning 400 plus 1.5 nito. Diba? O 1.5 ng 10. Tingnan natin kung ilan. 41 tapos rate natin is 10. Ayan. So 415. So meaning yung base mo is 400 plus the excess no na 1.5 rate. So that is 415 pesos. So you can just since nakuha mo na yung program ano, ito na. So hindi mo lang siya na ano na parehas ng ganito. Ay, hindi the same. So yun. So for example, let's say 45 and 10. So dapat 475. So, tingnan natin So this is your activity. So try to copy na. If you want a perfect score. Let's say 45. Then rate natin is 10. So dapat 475. Ayan, 475. Ayan. Okay na? So you have a 30 minutes for your kit work. And next session, ito pa may assignment pa kayo. So what is the purpose of the flowchart? Then list the symbols used to flowchart as well as their function. So ito, discuss natin to by by Friday. Okay, yung iteration, continue natin to by Friday because we have a meeting on Wednesday afternoon. So we will not meet on Wednesday afternoon, no. So next meeting natin will be on Friday na. Okay? So questions, clarifications. By the way, our next subject will be 3:30 lang. Let's have a break. Okay. So my questions. We'll stop sharing now and stop recording.